50 million Nigerians who belong to the most vulnerable category of society. What do you make of this planned palliative initiative? Isn't it a good thing? Is the government is thinking about the people, thinking about vulnerable Nigerians, thinking about how they're going to cope with this, and is making money available to them. If the refineries don't work, then subsidy should remain. The poor will eat the rich once subsidy is removed. Good evening, Dar. Each person would get 7,360 naira. It's actually about 7,360 naira per person at 460. Doesn't make any sense. How were previous palliative measures managed in this country? That will give us a fair idea of how this post-palliative policy will be consequently handled. But then your take will be as good as mine. That's from Ben. How much fuel or transport can 7,825 naira 61 kobo pay for? Is that what they call palliative? Something that cannot buy two tubers of big yam? So this was what they meant, that our refineries are going to work. Dial, I'm vulnerable in millions as we speak now. That's Patrick. Patrick, they're not looking for your kind of vulnerable. They're looking for different. A vulnerable different is what they're looking for. A vulnerable different. What happened to the revitalization of the refineries? Why have they suddenly stopped talking about it? Isn't that the best way to go? Well, they haven't stopped. And to the best of my knowledge, the revitalization of the refineries is still ongoing. This government really woke me up. I've been adamant about getting into politics, but what I'm seeing this government's display on it, I think it's high time I look at politics. What stops them from using that money to turn refineries in good shape? I think my dollars of me matter than our politicians that don't work effectively. Shame. Even in my room, I already know what to use that money to do for the good of the nation. Nigeria's finished, and that's mine. Alright, I have to go for a break now, I suppose. Shortly. Remember, we got headlines at 5:30. Can I have a message before that? But why is it most Nigerians are leaders? How long will the palliative alleviate to feel? Interesting times indeed. A break for the headlines around in a moment.
You are tuned in to 92.3
Welcome back. 28 minutes to go before 6 p.m. The major news is up at 6. It is 92.3 Nigeria Info, your number one talk station. I'm Dyer. Conversation continues on hard facts. Fuel subsidy. Nigerian government secures $800 million World Bank facility. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed disclosed this on Wednesday while briefing State House correspondents. And Ahmed said the money would be used to attend to a segment of post-petroleum subsidy palliatives requirements in the country. According to her, the $800 million is the first tranche of palliatives to be disbursed through cash transfers to about 50 million Nigerians who belong to the most vulnerable category in society. Today, that register has released, that is the first tranche of palliatives that will enable us to give cash transfers to the most vulnerable in our society that have now been registered in the National Social Register. Today, that register has a list of 10 million households. 10 million households is equivalent to about 50 million Nigerians. Ahmed also added the government was ready to go beyond cash transfers to cushion the effects the subsidy removal will have on Nigerians. Let's get your take on this planned post-petroleum subsidy palliative to help the vulnerable Nigerians, or 50 million of Nigeria's most vulnerable, deal with the effects of subsidy removal by sometime June, I believe. The line's open, 070 0923 093, or call 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003 or 0007. Live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. Let's see, via Facebook. Saying to me goes, this country, I just don't know. Chika Stephen Kini Kanwa goes, does that bring improve economic standards? And Wabo Zebuna goes, palliative and subsidy sounds like an old story to me. Sounds like using billions in feeding school children during the COVID-19 era, in which everyone was at home, and our subsidy that we know was a scam. Nigeria is not telling us the truth. Obina Ume goes, it's indeed funny what we hear in this country. These leaders lack ideas. Zero creativity. Such an amount is entering the country and all they can think is how to share. What happens to improving on transport system, invest in agriculture, etc. Your thoughts are welcome also. Via Twitter, Chike for tweets that FG can sell crude to Dangote refinery at less than 50% of the market rate. Dangote has a processing capacity of 100k barrels per day. FG can give them 50k barrels out of 1.6 million barrels per day production. At Henry Chidebere one tweeted, the same government said the Port Harcourt refinery is near completion. Why not use the whole of that money and finish the refinery than waste it on audio palliative? But there are vulnerable Nigerians. Indeed, there are, I dare say. Why shouldn't they get some palliative? Emmanuel Uzodima goes, there's something wrong with our nation and her leaders. Okay, I'll come back to Emmanuel's comment in a moment. Hello, Hot Factory, welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Hi there, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is coming from Port Harcourt.
You're welcome.
Now, for H2G, it's not about the priority order. Now, it's now they are thinking of it 2 months to go. Outside that one, too, it is the first time we had it palliative during the COVID time. How was it managed? Is that they are going to manage for us? On the other side, from November last year to now, it is suffering great trouble. Buying at the rate of 450, 500, 700 now. So, what's different? Because it has been removed already. Look at it from the other side, it's removed. We've done that, we've not of course the dead over it. So, why not? We didn't need it now. It's the balance is not like the other like that. Thank you.
Okay. Back to Emmanuel Izodima's comment. There's something wrong with our nation and her leaders. This palliative is taking us nowhere, to rather plunge us into hardship, anarchy, rebellion, hatred, and tremendous hike for goods and services. We're going in circles, Dio. I'm really shocked at the reactions of many of your callers to the planned subsidy palliative by the government. In all the previous attempts to remove fuel subsidy since 2012, organized labor and many Nigerians have always demanded for adequate palliative in place before the removal of subsidy. Now the government is doing just that before the subsidy removal, and the citizens are complaining. We can't continue to condemn every action of the government and expect a better country. That's some influence. How do Nigerians register as vulnerable? That's an interesting question. You see, thank you very much for that question. That's a very very good question. You see, I've been going around looking for somebody to ask me a very good question like this. I've been walking round the clock, to and fro, up and down, and finally, this question has come. This is good at a time like this that a question like this is asked. Because good questions are a very good thing. And quite frankly, as far as this particular question is concerned, I have no idea. Well, the point is, I don't think that people actually register as vulnerable. I'm sure that the government has its way of identifying them, via existing, systems and structures, we have local governments, and even at local governments, you have other substructures as well. So I suppose that's how they go about identifying this person, Yeah. By the way, do you want to register as vulnerable? Could have been the way our so-called leaders do things breaks my heart. What do they take us for? Do they take us as fools? For me, this is just another choppings before they leave office, and it's sad. But there are vulnerable people. I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe the government hasn't always lived up to expectations, but it doesn't change the fact that there are vulnerable Nigerians, and the most vulnerable amongst us may be up to 50 million, even higher than 50 million. Remember the much publicized and talked about story about Nigeria being the poverty capital of the world, and at that time, I suspect strongly that you agreed with that position. So if Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, it's not unseemly then that we have 50 million, over 50 million really poor people who no doubt will be in need of some palliative. And government is saying we're going to remove subsidy by June. It's going to, bite hard on people. It's going to be tough on others. Let's provide something for them. Is this such a terrible thing? Yes, Dio, there are vulnerable Nigerians. The question is, how many of them got the COVID palliative? To what extent did it change their lives for better? And to what extent will this 7,000 naira plus turn their lives going forward? Let them continue looting. Their tenure will eventually end. Mpoikanki Duanka goes down. This is called cashing out and betting, if you know what I mean. The administration are doing their final cash out before their tickets will cut. Hello, you're welcome.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, go ahead. You have a minute, please.
Okay, so 2012 January, the federal government wanted to take up fuel subsidy, and this country through an imbecilic tantrum. And today, 10 years later, we still can't remove subsidies. We still don't have the refineries working. It would seem that from those people, I got that all palliative, or the biggest palliative you put in.
You're welcome. Got a measure break coming up right. The minister of show today. I'll take a and return. Happy amazing news in the season in the clock. Please stay.